Hey, welcome to my channel. My name is Jessie, and today I am starting my reading vlog for the February Buzzword Challenge. The prompt this month is pronouns and possessives. I'll be reading People We Meet on Vacation. This book also just so happens to be a 5-star prediction for a video that will be coming out next week. And this is also on my 22 in 2022 list. So this particular book is ticking off a lot of boxes for me right now. Today is currently February 1st. I am once again hoping I will have this book finished by February 7th. That way I kind of fall into the timeline of the official challenge. But if I don't complete it by then, it's not the end of the world. But also it kind of is because I want this video up on the 13th. So we'll see what happens. I really loved Beachy, and so I have high hopes for this particular book. This book follows Alex and Poppy. They used to go on vacations all the time together every summer. They met, I think, like 12 years before this book started during their freshman year of college. And they didn't become best friends immediately. Also, I don't know if you can tell, but I have read a little bit of the book today. I'm not very far. I'm not even to the 1/3 mark. 2 years ago, they had a falling out, and they haven't really spoken to each other very much since then. It's 2 years later, and they are now getting ready to go on a vacation together again. And because this is a romance, I'm assuming somewhere along the way, they develop feelings. Like I said, I'm incredibly excited for this book. I have such high hopes. I absolutely loved Beachy whenever I read it in 2020, so I really have high hopes for this book, and I'm really hoping I will enjoy it. I will be catching you up during the 1/3, 2/3, and completed marks. So I think what I'm about to do, because I have already done 2 videos today. I did my January wrap up and my next 5-star prediction video, and so I want to try to get a little bit of homework done before Rowan wakes up from his nap. So I think I'm gonna take you along while I do homework, and then at some point I will finish up to the 1/3 mark, and I'll do an update at some point today. We're gonna see what happens. I feel like these mini vlogs, they're not really a mess, but they kind of are a mess because I want to talk about the book adequately, but I don't want it to be like a 5-minute video because I don't think it takes me that long to talk about books sometimes. But I don't want to rush the video and have it be too short, but I don't want to add too much and have it be too long. So I guess we're just gonna play around and see what happens. These videos are really just giant experiments. Since I have started this vlog, I have done a little bit of schoolwork, though admittedly not quite as much as I should have had done today. I only completed one of my goals for where I wanted to be at this point at the end of today, but I am kind of struggling through these 2 assignments. My undergraduate degree was in psychology, and so there's such a big difference in how, the psychology professors would assign stuff versus how my current professors assign stuff. And I'm sure part of that also has to do with like this is graduate school and that was undergraduate, and there's like a lot less direction, and so like I'm trying to figure out where to take things and how to make stuff work, and like learning how everything is, I guess. I also had dinner and took a bath, and I made it to the 1/3 mark of People We Meet on Vacation. I don't have the dust jacket on, so I don't really know if this is doing any good, but I'm at the 1/3 mark and I'm really enjoying it so far. At this point in the book, Poppy and Alex are on their, I guess, rekindling their friendship vacation. So some things I've really liked about this book so far is the way the story is told. It alternates between, this summer, and then it'll go back to like past vacations they've taken together. I think the last one it did was their 10-year vacation anniversary, because that's their first vacation I think they took together. It's gone through how they met and where they met at and how their friendship developed. And when their friendship kind of really took off and became when they became as close as they are, or as close as they were before whatever happened 2 years ago in Croatia happened, because that was their last trip they took. And Poppy keeps referencing it. And so far, we don't really know what exactly happened. Based off how Poppy's talking, whatever happened seems to be her fault, but we don't know what's happened yet. Another thing I'm really appreciating so far is how Poppy has never had this long-term secret crush on Alex. She's always been completely platonic with him, and occasionally feelings will kind of burst in through here every now and then. And I think, the way she describes it is 95% platonic, but every now and then that 5% will sneak up on her because he is an attractive person and everything. But she genuinely loves him as a friend too. And so I'm interested to see, with that, how the romance will develop. Overall, I'm just really interested to see what keeps going on. And so far, I'm interested in the characters. Alex is very shy and awkward and introverted, and Poppy is a lot more outgoing. It's really interesting, very opposite attracts kind of thing in some ways. But I'm definitely interested. I'm having a time. I kind of want to keep reading this tonight. But at the same time, I also am reading another book. I'm reading Hanny and Ishu's Guide to Fake Dating, and I'm running out of days in my library holding that. So I kind of want to read that in bed tonight. I am very sorry that my heater is blowing. It is really cold here. We are starting, I guess, Texas Freeze 2.0. We live far enough east and far enough south that we're not getting the worst of it. But some of the more northern counties already have a lot of schools shutting down tomorrow. I know that my local school is starting 2 hours later than normal. But I am about 2/3 of the way through People We Meet on Vacation now, and I'm still having a really great time with it. I'm starting to see more and more hints of how, it's going to go from platonic friendship to eventual romance. More so on Poppy's side, I'm starting to see more and more evidence of Poppy developing feelings for Alex. We've also gotten to see more and more of Poppy and Alex's friendship and more of their past vacations. And for the most part, I really like their friendship. I also like, getting to see how it evolved over time, from the time Poppy dropped out of college and moved to New York by herself, and Alex, started eventually, I think, a PhD program, and how their friendship changed over time and changed as they got into their own romantic relationships. I still don't know what happened at their last vacation 2 years ago. I'm still waiting to figure that out. I still want to know what happened, and I'm assuming I'll probably figure it out pretty soon because I don't have much more left to read. I hope to read more tonight. I don't know if I'm going to, though. I do kind of hope I get another chance to read tonight. I hope I get to make a bigger dent. I'm not sure how it's going to go. Today is actually Thursday. I had originally wanted to read this third yesterday and do this update yesterday, Wednesday, but I kind of got behind on schoolwork. I have technically unintentionally procrastinated on these projects. I want to say I haven't procrastinated on them because I did try to work on them every day last week. I read through them. I started trying to work on them, but I kept getting stumped for ideas and didn't know where to start, to the point where I pretty much took the weekend off of those particular projects and did the stuff that was due last weekend. And now I'm kind of not really scrambling, but kind of scrambling. One of these is a rough draft that has to be turned in, on the 6th. We're turning in our rough draft and then getting critique from the professor and our group mates. So I'm not super worried about that one, but I want it to be obvious that I am trying to get through it. I am trying to get it done. And I'm afraid it's not going to look great. So for example, one of my group mates sent me a copy of his. He finished his early, and his looks great. It looks like it could be a completed project. Mine is still in a Word document and bullet points because I'm still trying to get all my information organized and trying to get most of my information together, and so I'm a little stressed about that. And for my other class, she hasn't really said it is a rough draft, but it kind of is, in the sense it will also be due again at the very end of the semester in a portfolio where we'll have to apply any of the critiques we received. And so I also want that one to look nice. I want to read, I need to do schoolwork. I feel like I kind of dug myself in a hole and I'm a little stressed. It'll be fine, it'll all get done, just I am a little anxious about it at the moment. On top of the fact we have this stinking freeze. It's not so bad yet. It's supposed to get into, I think, the low 20s overnight, which I guess if you live somewhere actually cold, that's not the end of the world. It's just typically we have a couple of days in the 30s and then spend most of winter in the 40s and 50s. Enough of my weather and school rant. I will talk to you when I finish this book. I finished People We Meet on Vacation this morning on February 7th, on the very last day of the official Buzzword challenge. It's a 5-star read. The last third of the book, I would say, had like a little bit more dramatic moments than the rest of the book, but obviously, you know, that's building up to the third act breakup that's in so many romance books. That's kind of building up to the drama that's going to take place so they can, you know, almost get together, but then something happens and they can't, and then they ultimately get their happily ever after the grand gesture. So that's fine. I actually really like the way Poppy and Alex eventually came together. I felt like watching their friendship develop romantically slowly and supposedly one-sided on Poppy's part was interesting to watch, and it was fun to watch. And I think I saw several comments on Goodreads this morning whenever I was kind of like trying to decide between a 4.5 and a 5-star. And I was trying to make up my mind while I thought about this all day. And it did become a 5-star for me. Like, the more I thought about it, the more I liked it, and the fewer things I could think of to kind of complain about. I saw a lot of people saying this is friends to lovers done right. And I don't think I have any particularly strong opinions about, you know, the friends to lovers trope. I don't know it's a favorite trope, but it's definitely not one I dislike. I just don't think I read enough books with this particular trope. And so I will agree, though, that I really liked the way the friends to lovers was handled in this particular trope, or in this particular book. I had a great time with it. I had a lot of fun watching, you know, Poppy and Alex's friendship change over time, how they became super close, and then how as they got further into adulthood, their friendship kind of changed a little bit because they weren't the same people they were when they met at like 19 years old. I also enjoyed, you know, finally figuring out that, you know, oh, Alex might have the same feelings for Poppy and the way it all happened. I enjoyed the scene at Alex's brother's wedding, and I like the way that Poppy was able to call out Alex's father for something without really, you know, causing a lot of damage, just reminding the dad, you know, like, you have your kids to think of now too. There's other stuff going on. I also really like the way that, you know, while Poppy she wasn't necessarily embarrassed of her family, but she was worried about how her parents would be perceived by others, and she wanted to protect her parents, and she kind of had to, I guess, grow up and kind of learn how to deal with that fear as well. I also like at the very end of the book, Poppy is grown more and more open to the idea of going back to her hometown and maybe staying there temporarily, maybe going there permanently. It all just depends. But I like the way that she's, you know, open to the idea. She's still not completely sold on it, but she's willing to try. And I really like that. So overall, this is a great book. I enjoyed this entire book. I had so much fun with it. I am very glad I read it, and it definitely lived up to the hype of Beach Read. I need to double check what I rated Beach Read because I don't remember if I rated it 4 or 5 stars. But this is a 5-star, and I'm very happy with it. Anyways, though, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this little mini vlog, and I will talk to you later. Bye.